Welcome to New User Training. My name is April. I'll be presenting the new user training today. I'll try to keep this to about 45 minutes. So, to begin, we'll start with the task module. The task module is going to look very similar and have a similar look and feel to the other modules in AppCall. So, that's one of the great things about AppCall is once you get familiar in one module, the learning really transfers to the other modules as well. This view of the table is our summary list view. Each row is a record, in this case, one row per task. A task in AppCall is both a docketing item as well as a transaction history. So, what do we mean by those two things? For transaction history, we mean something like when an office action was mailed or when you receive a notice of allowance, something like those things. By docketing item, we mean something that needs to be completed on your end. It could be something as simple as reviewing a USPTO communication task. On the left-hand side here, we have our Make Changes section. Notice that these buttons are grayed out, but when I select a record, they appear for use. We'll talk more about our Make Changes section here in just a bit. We also have our Change View section, which we'll also talk about in just a bit to add filters and create reports. Notice that tasks default to all open tasks. You can change that here in the Change View section to view other tasks in different statuses. The tasks are also sorted by respond by date. So the oldest tasks appear here at the top. Note that if it's past due, it's red. If it's coming due, it's blue. And then the higher up the blue, the closer the due date is. I'll go ahead and go over the columns here, starting with the links column. Anytime you see a little icon in AppCall, you can hover over it and you'll get a little pop-up. I know it's a little hard to see on the screen here, but it will tell you what it does and what you'll jump to if you were to click that little icon. Task status column, this is just the current status of the task. You can easily click on a status here in the row to change that task status. So maybe it's completed. You can mark that as completed and click that set status button. Matter, this is the docketing number or unique identifier that distinguishes the patent or trademark. We'll see when we go to the Matters module here in just a bit that it will be sorted alphabetically by the matter there. Here, things, like I said, are sorted by that respond by date for the task. The task type, this is the action that is being requested. Notice if I hover over a field here, I'm getting this little icon. This is called our in-place editor. And most fields have this. There are a couple fields that may not, like the deadline type. But if I were to click that icon, I can edit or choose a different option right in line there. First, task types. We have over 150 standard task types that cover U.S. patent prosecution, U.S. trademark prosecution, as well as PCT up to national phase. You can also create custom task types if AppCall does not have what you need to track. The respond by date, this is just AppCall's term for a due date. This again is that default sort setting. Final due date, if there is a final due date listed, that means it's an extendable deadline. So this date is paired with the deadline type. Other types of deadlines, you may get a hard external deadline. With this, you wouldn't get a final due date. It just is what it is in the respond by date field. It's also internal deadlines. You may have that's something that only pertains to your firm. External deadlines mean that there is some type of PTO deadline with a consequence if it's not met. You may also want to use general reminders. Something like paying maintenance fees could be a good example of a general reminder task. Jumping back a field to the owner column. In AppCall, every task has one and only one owner. The default is the matter attorney. However, you could change that if you wanted. Maybe your paralegal handles the filing of every IDS or you are the paralegal. You could create a file supplemental IDS task type and then have your paralegal default into that owner field. Comments, you're able to comment on any task. Again, that little editor icon will pop up there if you hover over the field. You can enter a comment, and then anytime you want to save any changes to the line, you just click that check mark button there. All right. This is the default column set for the task module. If I click this columns link in the upper right hand corner, I can choose from further available columns here on the left. So for example, maybe I want to see the client column. I'd select that and then click the arrow, and that puts it into this column selected box. You can then move it up or down depending on where I want it. Go ahead and click OK. And it's going to refresh. And now I see that client column there. So this is sticky. So if I were to log out and log back in or go to a different module and come back, it's going to stay there. So if this is just a view you want to keep, or you have a different view you want to keep, you can always just select that and keep it there without clearing it out. If you do want to go back to your default view at any time, you just click that columns link again and click the default button. Right. Tasks can be added manually. So I always like to show how to do that initially here in the user training. You start by click the add button. And you select the client. Just go ahead and select one here. And a matter. Choose a task type. For this, we'll just do an attorney project. And notice there we go. Once I selected that attorney project, the owner defaulted into the owner field, and then we got these dates here. I'm going to go ahead and update my respond by or due date to Friday. Could add further documents or comments. There's further fields here. I'm going to go ahead and keep it simple, and I'll click the save button. I can see that attorney project here that I just created with a deadline of Friday. So that's how tasks get added manually, but oftentimes tasks are created automatically in AppCall for you. This occurs when something happens to the underlying matter. So for instance, when a filing date is added to a matter, you're going to see about 10 tasks get automatically created in AppCall. Or for instance, when an allowance date is added, you would get a pay issue fee task. If it's issued, get those maintenance fee tasks. So AppCall will keep track of those for you, keep them on your docket. Another way tasks could get generated automatically is when something happens with existing tasks that could trigger another task. So for example, maybe you have maintenance fee tasks. You could say, I missed that deadline, mark that as missed. And then it's going to generate another one with that updated deadline if you miss that deadline. So that's an example of how changing a task or change to a task could update the task type there. I showed you how to change tasks in place, but you can also change tasks in bulk. So if you wanted to work with multiple tasks at once, you could select more than one task here. For instance, maybe you need to close these tasks. It is important to note that you do have to let AppCall know that a task has been complete. We don't automatically close your tasks for you. So maybe you wanted to close those, or you could also work with other bulk edits by clicking this bulk edit button. And it's only going to let you select the fields that are available for bulk edit. For example, maybe I wanted to set a new owner for those 3 records. Then the owners that are selected there, I'd go ahead and click the update button, and it would update those 3 fields at one time. You do want to be a little bit careful when you are working with bulk edits because there's not just an easy undo button. You have to manually fix that. So you do want to be cautious when you're working with bulk edits. I think the bulk edits option also pairs really well with our change view section. So if you wanted to see or work with a subset of data that you have here, you could click the add filters button. And we'll just go ahead and narrow our results based on the owner. And I'll click the add button. And that narrowed my results Some, I want to narrow them even further. I'll go ahead and narrow also by respond by date. Maybe instead of specific date, I want to see what's due in the next 60 days. I'll click the add button there. Now I've got my task down to 9. So I'll go ahead and click the execute button. And I can really easily see that subset of data there here. Instead of clicking each of these buttons one by one to select them, I could just click this check mark to select all of them at the same time. That's just easier to work with here. If this was a view I like to see regularly, I could also save this view as a report. So maybe I'd want to call it Miss Lily's 60-day docket. Once it's saved, I can then select from it down here. So I have these saved reports, saved filters here. We call them reports. Once you save them, get you that subset of data that's really easy to view and manage if it's a view that you use regularly. If I wanted to further edit this, I could still click the filter. Maybe I want to just see where Miss Lily's the owner, and that would update. And again, this is sticky as well. So if I were to go to the Matters module and come back, it's still going to be here unless I cleared that filter out by clicking the trash can icon. Now, if this was a view or I have a view that I want to schedule out regularly, maybe to myself or to some other folks, you can go ahead and go to reports and then manage report schedules. And I can then schedule this report out by clicking the add button. So I'd select the report. I think we were working with we'll do Lily's 60-day docket. I could send it on a specific day of the week or weekday during the month or specific day of the month. I like that option. I'll send it the first of every month. That's going to give me the next dates that it's going to send. I'm in Mountain Time Zone, but I could choose to send it at a different time zone. I could choose to attach it as a PDF if I wanted to, or one option I really is you can click in the body of the email here and click this insert table button. And you can't see it here, but when it sends out, it will create a nice little table of all of that data of Miss Lily's 90-day docket. But I also selected that PDF attachment button so that I can have both. I would just, when I was ready, enter the email address or email addresses separated with a comma that I wanted to send to. And I could click that save button and it would send on the cadence that I specified. If you want to test it before you send it and just see how it looks, especially if you're sending it to a bunch of folks, you can put your own email address in and click that send report now button. It'll take about a minute, but that way you could test it to see what it looks like before maybe you send out that data to a bunch of people. All right, we'll go ahead and go back to the tasks module. So it's a nice feature for you there. So it gives you easy reporting. Again, you can create that filter, save that filter as a report, and then it will be there easily for you to choose from your report options there. Okay. Next, we will go to the Matters module. And a matter in AppCall is any piece of IP that is distinct from everything else. So your patents, your trademarks, your contracts, they'll be in this section here. Again, starting with the links column here, you can hover over any of those icons to see the action. So in this example, maybe you would want to view the matter family diagram by clicking that link. The attorney ref, this is your unique docketing ID or matter ID. In the Matters module, as I mentioned earlier, we sort this by the attorney ref column in alphabetical order. The title of the matter, pretty self-explanatory. The type of matter, many types fall under utility, but you can see if you click this drop down, we have a number of types that come out of the box with AppCall. You do have the ability to add custom matter types if what is out of the box doesn't get you what you need. the client. So this is just the client associated with the matter. And then if an inventor is listed, that would be here in the first inventor column, but in one matter per row. Just like you could in the task module, you can also adjust your columns. So click that columns link. Maybe there are further columns you want to see here, such as the attorney. Again, you just click that arrow to put it into the column selected box, move it up or down where you want it, and click that OK button. And it would refresh. And again, that'll stay here on this screen unless you make a change as you navigate around app call. So if that's just a view you like, you can go ahead and keep it there. You won't have to make it every time, or click that default button to go back to your default view. You are able to add a matter manually. So you would click that add button to begin. Select an existing client or a new client. For this example, we'll go ahead and do an existing. You'd indicate whether it's part of a new matter family or connected to an existing matter family. You'd want to choose the matter type, the country. An attorney ref is going to default in. You likely might want to edit that to a different attorney ref number and click OK. And then at a minimum, you're going to want to add a title at least in order to save this newly created matter. To save time, so you don't have to watch me entering in all these fields. To save time in just a bit here, I'm going to show a more detailed matter details page so we can go through it together and see what it looks like once it's all filled in. A couple of notes before we do that. Bulk edits work largely the same way as they did in the tasks module, but there is a little bit extra to think about if you're bulk editing a matter. For instance, you also have to think about when you're updating if you want to update all family members of selected matters or all the results of the current query, not just the options. So just a little more to think about, to be cautious about when you are doing bulk updates with matters. Another feature you'll see here in the Make Changes section that is different from the task module is this Create USPTO Forms button. And AppCall has all the forms to select from the patent option. And if you select this or a form, it's going to take the matters and generate forms relevant to that matter. And it's going to pull the information in the form for you and zip it up for you on your desktop. I also like to note if you select multiple records here and multiple forms, so I have 2 selected each, it's actually going to generate 4 forms altogether for me because each matter would have its own form. And this feature really just makes your job easier, helps you minimize data entry. We also have the option to upload form letters. And if you add the right syntax into these form letters, it can take those fields from AppCall, automatically populate them from your matter details, and populate those fields in the form letter with your matter specific information. A lot of features to utilize. I don't want you to get overwhelmed in the new user training. At the end, just as a reminder, I'm going to show you where you can access everything you need in order to make use of these great features. Also, if there are forms you can't find on that USPTO from that button, do be sure to let us know because we do get that list from our customers and we are always updating and adding to it. Just like you could in the task module, you can also narrow your search for things in the matters module. So for example, maybe you just want to search by, maybe not attorney, will be client, by a particular client. You can narrow down your results. Again, if that's a report you use regularly or a view you want to see regularly, you can save that view as a report and choose from it there. And those filters stay in place when you log out and log back in. You also can use this search field anytime you're searching for matters, and really you can search anything that you can think of related to the matter, the publication number, registration number, attorney ref, title, anything you can think of. You just start typing and you'll get search results that appear. I mentioned earlier I was going to show us a more detailed matter details page. This is an example of one. So before we didn't see any dates. Now we see all those dates, the filing date, the issue date. We can see connections. AppCall does have a prior section, so that we're going to talk about here in just a moment. Ties into those priority applications, ties into the priority date, which is up here. We can also see the inventors listed. These fields here are just to show you that if AppCall doesn't have what you need out of the box, you can create your own fields, up to 20 of them, as a dropdown, a text string, multi-select, a few more fields here. Then we have what we call our transaction bar. And if you hover over it, you can actually drag and drop it to make it bigger or smaller, just depending on what you like for your view. And this one here is the miniature version of our task module. But notice it doesn't just show or default to just showing the open tasks. It also shows everything missed or completed. Since AppCall provides that transaction history for you, this is where you can get that full history for a matter. Then that feature of USPTO forms populating, you can do that right here within the matter itself with that Create USPTO Forms button from the Matter Details page. And then, of course, AppCall does pull information from an EPO's eSpaceNet database. If it's a trademark, we can scrape data from TSDR. And then if the basic information for the matter is entered and you're sponsored, it will get entered through the Patent Center. All right. Next, we'll look briefly at the prior art module. And you have a list of all your patent matters, US, foreign, PCT, and they will automatically show here based on the attorney ref value. If you have an application number, that will show up as well. The ref count, this column is the number of references associated with a matter. The cite count will indicate whether the references have been cited. And then once an IDS has been filed, it would update the cite count and update that IDS count column. Again, we do have further training on how to add references to a matter or cross-site to bring any other references associated with the family into the new continuation. There's also a load refs from eSpaceNet button that would bring over any references that have been filed in an IDS. So I know it's brief, but do you like to just briefly cover that in the user training? The next module we'll look at is the files module. This is a good teaching moment. So I've drilled into the files module. So I've what we call breadcrumbs here. I'll go ahead and go back to the top. And I can use those breadcrumbs to navigate easily. There's also this drop down here in the corner, shows breadcrumbs. So for instance, maybe I wanted to go back to that matters details page I was working on. Rather than clicking the back button a bunch of times or going to the matters module and searching for it again, I can just go right to my breadcrumbs and click that to be taken right to it. So that's just a good teaching moment there. Right, at the top level of the files module, we have a folder for you for every client. And files is just cloud-based storage for you. So it's really just up to you how you would like to use the files module. From the client folder, subfolders are based on the attorney ref value or matter ID. If you then drill into the matter ID, AppCall creates further folders for you to track things like client correspondence or IDS files. AppCall is able to pull that information and keep that for you. We do maintain revisions of the same document. So if you change a document and add it back in, AppCall will make sure to track that for you. I also working from this browse search button. I find it's a little easier to drill into information or jump around. You can also use the search. So if you're just looking for a document and you know any part of it, just start typing in there, or maybe you want to utilize the dates and you can jump right to that document and open it right up. You can upload files at any level. So you just select the level that you want to upload your file to and click that upload button. You can choose a file. You can upload multiple files at once if with a zip file if you want to. If you use something like Dropbox or Google Drive or OneDrive, you can upload a link as well. Add any notes if you want and click that upload button. So again, there's no third-party system involved, so really you're just free to use the files module as you wish to. All right. Next, we will talk about signatures. And the signatures module is great because it automates the process of getting signatures for documents that are part of the IP management process. If for some reason you don't see the signatures module, if you are an admin, you can go to the settings page and click on that signatures tab. And you may need to enable the signatures module here by checking that box. Signatures integrates with Adobe Sign and DocuSign. If you don't have those, you can still use AppCall to send documents and track them with AppCall. But to enable those features, you could just click that connect button there. You would log in and give AppCall permission to access. And then once you're connected, it just stays connected and you don't have to re-log in. All right. And with that integration, the basic steps or process of getting those signatures is you would create an envelope and you would choose your provider. We have some options here of how you'd want to get those signatures. You'd add the recipients and you'd add any documents. And then DocuSign or Adobe Acrobat that sign, your recipients would get an email alerting them they have a document they need to sign. You would still get that email notifying you that it was sent and when they actually signed it. And then everything that updates in the module here. So I have unsent envelopes or sent or completed, and then everything that you get those signed documents that are stored here as well. So it's really helpful to keep those in one place. For advanced features, if you really want to automate the process of getting your signatures, you can create those signature rules. So that would automate the generation of those envelopes for signature, which can be great time saving feature for you as well. So you can really get into it and create those signature rules to automate the process. Next, the billing module is very robust, so we don't go into it much in the user training. I'll show you where some resources are for it, but do to at least know some of the features there in case you're interested in using the billing module or you're already starting to use it. So the simple process would be to first generate one or more billing items. There's a number of ways to do that. You can do that with the time manager to start a new timer to start those billing items. You can import them. You can add them manually as well in the billing items. And then there are some advanced features like integration with QuickBooks Online. So if you used QuickBooks, that will support the syncing with QuickBooks Online for invoice and payment management. You can use it for expense management to add expenses like PTO fees. Your invoices will be customized as well if you want them to in terms of content and layout within the AppCall system. There, basic process, get those billing items created, get those invoices sent, and collect the payments. Next, we'll go to the contacts module. Any entity associated with a task or matter has a contact record in AppCall. So that's all of your inventors, your clients, patent agents, paralegals, everyone in the system is going to have that contact record. To add a contact record, click the add button. And depending on the role you choose, which you'll want to pick here, you'll get different fields that'll be pertinent to that role for you to fill out. Of course, at a minimum, you'd want their name and an email. So for instance, maybe it's a company, you may get different fields that are pertinent to that information. Once you are ready and have it filled out, you click the save button. I like to note too in user training. So these buttons, you'll find them on a lot of our entry forms. So save an ad, apply changes. What are the differences here? So if you're filling out this form and maybe you're halfway through and you get a phone call and you don't want to lose your changes, if you just click that apply changes button, it'll save the changes for you and you'll stay on the screen. If you click the save button, it's going to save the changes, but it's going to take you back to the screen that you were just on. So you won't lose your changes, but you won't be able to just stay in working in here. If you have multiple contacts or multiple records you're adding, if you click that save and add button, it'll save the record and then keep you on the screen, but refresh it so you can just keep adding them instead of going back and forth. So I like to note those because those buttons work the same across app call. Couple of reminders about contacts. So if you are an admin, remember that new logins need to have a contact record before you can give them a login. So that's important to note. And other sections work similarly to the other modules like the make changes section and the change view section as well. The last module I'll talk about today is pretty exciting because we just put it on today, actually. So previously, Tandem was found in the settings of AppCall. We've created this module, moved everything there, streamlined the process a little bit to make this feature a bit easier to use. Basically, a Tandem account provides features that allow a client corporation to view and generate reports on data that transfers automatically from the attorney's AppCall account. You can choose which data that you want to share. And once you've set it up, it will run on a nightly sync. So you don't have to worry about it from there. I'll go ahead and give you some preview here. So the basic process would be you'd click this create Tandem account. You would select the client. Then you can choose, so matters sync automatically. There is a way to configure that. You can choose which fields will be synced. You can choose whether or not to sync tasks. And again, you can choose those fields. Just the external deadline task will sync. You can choose whether or not to sync files. And you would click that create button. And then you're going to get this, the account will be set up and you can instantly preview it before you send an invite to your client to view. So if you click this access account button, I can instantly preview what they're going to see. I could even change dashboard settings here if I wanted to customize from the default dashboards. For instance, like these don't have anything available because I chose not to sync tasks. Maybe I want to sync something else related to matters for them to see instead. And that would show when they logged in if you clone the dashboard, and I'll show you how to do that. So again, you could preview what they're going to see so you don't have to be nervous about what they're going to see. But again, it's nice because you can preview it instantly. And then you just go back to your account when you're ready to send that invite. So with everything configured and I previewed it, I could then click the send invite button. I could choose who I want to send it to. They'll have to be associated with the client employee or manager or paralegal. If I modified that dashboard, I could choose my modification here with my account info. So I could make sure they didn't just see that default dashboard, but the customized dashboard that I chose. I can update this and then I click send. They're going to get an email in about a minute or two. They'll click a link that will take them to a login page where they can set up add a password, I should say. And then they'll be able to log in and see that same view that you saw when you clicked that access account button. So it's a really great feature if you are wanting to share reporting info with your clients, and you can really dial it in. There's further options too from the settings as well if you want to manage the sync a little bit more carefully. So you can click this edit button. Maybe you also want to sync related prior art, or maybe you only want to have them see update mode and not add an update. So we really get into it further in the training that we're going to have and the training that we already have in our support docs, but you can really dial it into exactly what you want them to see. And then they just have access to it. So you don't have to send them manual updates or reminders. They can just log in and view it when they want to see it. So it's a really great feature. And like I said, we just enhanced it. It's a great feature to utilize. All right. So last but not least, anytime you are in App Call, if you hover over this question mark icon, you're going to see our little help box pop up here. We have some really commonly used articles here. You can also search anything that you can think of related to what you're doing, and it will automatically pull up some options for you. So maybe I can't remember how to add a task like we covered today. You can drag and drop and make this bigger to view those steps. Or maybe you want to view the full article, which is what I like to do, put it on my other screen while I'm walking through App Call. That'll take you to our support page, which is really helpful. You can search, again, anything you can think of right in here. We have over 350 articles that will get searched so that you have access to what you need. We do organize things by module or topic, so you can dive into training that way. In the general information, there's a page that's really helpful called Webinars and Resources. And you found us here today, so that's great. We do offer this new user training every week. You can access any of our archived webinars as well. So maybe you want to jump into billing and start with basics all the way through advanced billing and invoicing. You could jump into those recordings there. Also, off of the question mark here, in addition to the Help Center, we have our community forum. And a community forum is great just to see announcements that we have, the latest news and topics, any product requests you have, or you just want to see how other people are using maybe like the signatures module to automate their signatures, things like that can be a great place. Our Learning Center, London is an admin. You should have received access to that, but if not, you can always go to our website to request access. Under the resources tab here, you can click Learning Center and there's a little form that you can fill out, or maybe you want to point others in your company to it. And the Learning Center is great because we have curated the content for you. So if you want to go in a more of a sequential order through content, we could start with the Explorer Learning Path, go to the Professional Learning Path, start with general information. Looks like a lot, but it goes really fast because a lot of the videos are paired with this quick start guide. So you can have a guide that you can download if you wanted, or if you prefer videos, you can watch the full video. Videos are really short too, anywhere from a minute to 3 minutes are pretty common. Every now and then you'll get a 5 or 6 minute video, but we like to keep it short and on task. If you go through the whole learning path, you'll get a badge as well. So you can share that with your friends on LinkedIn if you want to. And last but not least, you can always contact support. We really pride ourselves on our support. Your questions never go to a bot, so you don't have to weed out AI before you get to a person. They'll go straight to our support desk. They'll get back to you within a couple hours of in a business day, and they will respond with resources. They can also schedule one-on-one time with you, especially as you're getting started, to share screens with you or go through a process or help you get set up. Don't hesitate to reach out to our support team anytime. And yeah, that is all I have for you today. Thanks everyone for attending and have a great day.